Okay.
Let's go. Say those beautiful words. Go.
And we are live.
Yeah.
The cast.
Wow. Woo! What's up, guys?
Back-to-back weeks on the cast. Check us out.
Getting pretty crazy.
Woo!
Remote casting.
Yep.
The second edition of the remote quarantine cast.
Yep, the quarantine cast.
How you guys been? How you guys doing?
Hanging in. Got a haircut. Tara cut my hair.
Uh-oh.
Tara cut my hair. I mean, no, dude. I got a hat on for a reason, but
young Patrick Riley.
And I got the Riley going, but and the beard, dude. That was about 9 weeks.
Yep.
Which I think in my adult life might be my longest streak. Like it was no joke. It was as if, and Pooh Bear too hadn't had a haircut in like 6 months. So it almost looked like we had just emerged from the woods out behind my house, like after having after having just been out in the wilderness, like with axes, like living by campfire for months. That's what it looked like.
Like became the bear.
Yes, as if we arrived back at my house to just hear about the quarantine and what had happened, because
just a touch base before going back to the jungle.
And it was like as if we had just been out in the wilderness so long that we came back to only get the news that this quarantine had happened. Like we were out in the wilderness.
Dude, there was a couple that was like sailing on a boat.
Right.
And like they didn't find out about any of this until like 7 weeks in, like some port. They're like, man, can't believe you're traveling through all this. They're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, they didn't even know.
I think there were astronauts in outer space who had left prior to the shit jumping off and then came back into like basically a new world. You know, landed in a new world. Crazy.
I believe
it. That's pretty nuts, man.
It's fucking insane. Did you hear about the Olympia?
What is it?
I mean, it's
pushed to December.
It's largely speculative. It like partially makes me think that it's a little bit like rose-colored glasses and like hoping for the best type stuff. But essentially, I believe it's December 16th through the 20th. They've changed the venue. There's no mention of the expo yet.
Okay.
But they changed the venue. It's been at the Orleans many years in a row. Now it's at Planet Hollywood, I guess.
Closer to the Strip?
I guess. And apparently they have like a really nice like theater mini arena there or whatever. So like apparently because here's the thing about the Orleans, like I don't know if you guys have been there, but it's the hotel itself is pretty like, if you could think of like middle of the road Atlantic City, but then the arena itself is like nice, like it looks like a mini NBA arena. So like it's like they pumped all the money into the arena, but the hotel itself is like, you know, it's like an average run of the mill like I said, like Atlantic City style casino. So nothing fancy, but then this really nice arena. Apparently Planet Hollywood's like a step up in terms of like how nice the place is, how nice the restaurants are, shit like that. I don't know. But so that was the thing. That was supposed to be December 16th to the 20th in Vegas. So right before Christmas, you know, right in the midst of the holiday season.
Wow. But
also to me, it's like, it feels like that's right in the middle of like flu season and all that kind of shit. And it's like, I don't know, but that's the word. So that would be like a 3 month delay and they're trying to get it in before the end of the year, because like if you think of it from the perspective of having a champion, technically there wouldn't be a 2020 Mr. Olympia. You know what I'm saying?
Right, and you got to think it's the last possible date. What did you say it was? The 16th to 20th?
Yeah.
Right, because the next Friday is Christmas.
Right, so it can't be that.
And then the next Friday after that is New Year's, the 1st.
Right.
And then with Vegas and with travel, with everything so that they literally pushed it to the latest possible date of the year.
Of course.
Which to me says they're thinking like, all right, if we can have it at all, it's going to be at the last possible second.
Right.
And we'll know by October. They'll know by October what December looks like.
And of course. And the thing about it really to me, right, is the fact that like it's an opportunity, right, to crown a champion and keep this lineage alive of every year having a new Mr. Olympia or a reigning Mr. Olympia winning again or whatever, having the competition. So it's like you're saying, they're waiting to the last minute to try to pull that off. But there's a huge difference, there's a vast chasm between having the competition and then truly having the Olympia weekend.
Yeah.
Because in theory, right, like you can probably pull off a bodybuilding competition if you take enough precautions. You can do it in a way, in terms of like most traditional athletic competitions, you could do that in a way that you could probably pull it off safely, right? There'd be no audience. There'd be the minimal staff you possibly can have. You'd have, one guy or lady on stage at a time, and like you try to keep the distances, and you would do all of those things. But technically, it's like very much an individual sport, and you can probably like partition people off in a way, right?
Yep.
So the competition themselves, they can do. But in terms of like all of the money-making stuff around it, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if that can happen.
Yeah, I don't know how you guys feel. Like, SCO in particular, how do you feel about, in the next 4 months going to a trade show and selling stuff?
I don't personally think that trade shows can happen.
Yeah.
While if things remain the way they are now, you think of what happens at a trade show with currency and goods and crowds and lines for the bathroom, and even
Public
if you
bathrooms.
public bathrooms and water fountains, and everyone has to stay in the hotel. Like, it's going to be tough to do those things for a while. Now, I don't know. Did we talk about it last week? Live Nation's first concert, what they're doing?
No, but you did say that you heard the CEO of Live Nation on like a business program, and he was saying that he didn't think that there were going to be any live concerts in the United States until, did you say 2022?
Well, I think that's what he said, 21 or 22 originally.
Right.
They're having a concert. The first concert is going to be in Arkansas.
Okay.
And it's a 2,500 seat arena that they're going to let 250 people into. Wow. And you're going to be able to buy tickets in what they're calling pods. So like if you wanted to go in a group of 6, you'd have a little section where there's 6 people, and they'll guarantee there's no one within like 15 seats of you. Temperature checks at the door. You won't get into the building if you have a fever. Disinfecting mist sprayed into the air. Only prepackaged food. Like there's probably like 5 or 6 other things I'm forgetting, precautions that they're taking, but like they're trying to find a way, at even a 10% capacity to do it, in states that are good, that are like the first to open up and try things and have more of a loose perspective on it.
You got to find a middle ground with that, because the whole reason you go to a concert is you want to be around people, you want to be conversing, you want to be, whatever you're doing, enjoying the music together.
Sharing drugs.
Sharing the drugs. But also, when you go to a concert and it's too crowded, it's fucking annoying. So can they find a mid-ground there,
Look, the question is, like, what businesses, like, what are their margins, right? Like, how much breathing room do they have? At what attendance do they start to lose money?
Right.
Like you could throw a trade show or you could throw a concert, but if the artist and the security and the what's insurance and the parking, whatever all the costs are, if you're losing money or you're not making enough to, like, people aren't going to do it if they profit $100, right? Like that won't sustain Live Nation or.
So what you see happening in that scenario, right, is that you would think that all of those seats would be ultra premium, high price tag, so that people with the means to have a pod, to have their own little box and watch a concert would dole out that money that would allow them to make some kind of money, have some kind of margins, and it prices out as the great leveling is occurring with this fucking pandemic. it's gonna price out all the regular folks, all the working class people, and it'll only be moving forward. Maybe it'll only be wealthy folks who can go to like public events. You know what I mean? To go to a basketball game, if it's the same thing for an NBA game, you know, whatever. Like let's say in February of 2021, if it's the same thing for an NBA game, and you know, each seat is $500, right? Like at that point, like, you know, real people aren't gonna be able to go to those games, and it's just gonna be like corporations who will like, you know, like they do with a skybox. Like every fucking seat in the house is now like a skybox situation.
Well, yeah, and it's not just that, man. You think of, here's the thing though, like even with people paying those expensive tickets, you think of like the pizza place around the corner from a venue,
right?
Or the parking, the valet guy at the parking lot, next, you know.
Yep.
Or there's so many jobs that are attached to events. Like you think of like,
of course,
there's an 80 game, or it's like a 78 to 82 Major League Baseball season, that the owners had proposed starting like the 4th of July, and they've like sent it over today to the players union to play with no fans.
Right.
Okay. In the home stadiums against regional opponents for the season. So like Mets, Yankees, Phillies, Red Sox, you know, Nats, whatever. They're all one division.
Right.
Then Dodgers, Mariners, Padres, all the West Coast teams, and then Central America, right?
Right.
And or this, you know, Midwest and all that, and trying to put together a season. But you think like, you know, think of going to like a Yankee game or a Mets game or a Phillies game, all the money that people spend getting to it, going to it, the bars across from the stadiums, the Ubers to get there, the cheesesteaks late night, right? Like
all that stuff.
All of that business goes away when all the fans aren't there. You know, all the people that work in the stadium, like, so there's going to be like a ripple effect. It's really tough to predict what businesses can stand up and what works still in any kind of way for those things. It's really tough to know, you know, like you don't know. So I drive by strip malls in New Jersey right now, and I see like parking lots packed at one and not at another. It has to do with what businesses are allowed to open, but like, you know, like a restaurant that has an outdoor seating area is going to have an advantage over one that's totally closed in. You know, like if you know you could sit outside, you might go out to eat the first night that New Jersey opens. You know, like if you know you're going to have space and air, but if you're packed into a tiny little, you know, table by the back of the restaurant, you're going to walk out, you know, like you're not going to sit there. So, or a lot of people at least will. You know, like I just saw a thing in the states that have reopened, they're using like, you know, all the dinner reservation apps like Open Table and stuff like that, right? Sure. So they can look at what it was like last year and look at what it's like now and say like, all right, like at what level are we at? Like, are we near normal? And in Georgia, Texas, and Tennessee, they're still over 80% below a year ago, even though they opened like 10 days ago. They're at like 84% down year over year, right? So it's going to be, people need to see that this works, right? Like it's not just about going out the first night. You need to see 20 days later, is there a spike in cases? If not, then maybe you go out. I think a lot of people are going to take that approach, you know?
You did a straw poll on Facebook. To talk about that.
Yeah, I just said, all right, your gym's open today. Are you going? You know, we know, I mean, it's like a real sensitive, serious subject, right? Because we know the gym owners. Like we can name these guys who are like, I don't know what it is in the about the world where it turns out that like gym owners are all awesome guys, and men and women, of course, you know. But like all of them, all the ones that we know are like some of my favorite people. I'm sure you guys would say the same. Like the favorite people we've met doing this and being in this industry. So that's why I'm always curious. And we know so many people go to gyms. I'm curious to see like, all right, gym opens tomorrow. Will you go back? Because I want these gyms to survive and I want them to thrive. And like, you know, more than anything, small business owners. Like we don't know the people that are like, you know, we don't care about lifetime. We care about lifetime fitness, but I'm saying like, these are the mom and pop.
Right, of course.
You know, this is their bread and butter. Like keeps a family afloat type of business.
And what I think one of the reasons that we love those guys so much and respect those guys so much is because, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some really smart and shrewd businessmen in the mix there, but also at the same time, like they're not in it just to make money. They're in it because they love what they do.
Right.
They have such a passion for it. These gyms are an extension of who they are as people. And it's like, so they're like, they build cultures there. They build a family there at these places. So it's like, you know, that's one of the reasons we like these guys so much. And that's one of the reasons that, you know, we need those places to survive, because they're everything that I love about lifting and the culture in general is alive in those places.
Right.
If that stuff went away, then like it rips the soul out of the
of course, man.
It's like group therapy, man. It's like you go there, you're training, and you're kind of just letting out all that emotion. And for some people, it's healing. And if you don't have that, it's like, you know, it's as stupid as it sounds, it is kind of like a church type.
No, of course, man.
Not going,
absolutely,
of course, and that's
it is like going to church,
and that's even more profound, I think, in the places like Fitness City and PI Fitness and all those places, you know, Attilas and Wolf, and the places where like the people who own the place and run the place are part of the atmosphere, the ambiance, you know. And you take those guys out of the place and you just like end up in a corporate cookie cutter gym. Like, sure, you can get your workout done, which is the you know, not the most important, but it's one of the most important factors. Like, can I go and exercise? Yes, you can.
Right.
But so many of the emotional connections and whatnot are gone there. You know,
the
difference between an amazing pizza place, the difference between a hole in the wall pizza place in Scranton and Papa John's. Right? It's like, yes, both of those have calories and they will sustain me as my life functions. But one is this amazing thing that has all of this culture and love built into it, and the other thing is just a product.
And I think like we see ourselves in similar positions, like where we're trying to thread that needle between the really cheap experience that is almost like dishonest, you know, like the pre-workout that's $1 a tub because there's nothing in it.
Right.
Like we're in between that and then the mass-produced corporate they don't even know who you are, really care about your goals, and they're just like an equation with ads, and they get it 20% to click, and it's like that's the thing.
Yep.
And like whereas we know everybody's name, and we're trying to like we're thinking about what products they need, what gear they like that kind of thing. Yep. So like we see ourselves in those gyms, right? Like we're kind of trying to be the real deal amongst these two different polar opposites that kind of have their own negatives that like don't have the humanity to them, you know?
Of course.
And so, so I asked the people, all right, it's tomorrow, your gym opens. Are you there? Right. And it's pretty evenly divided, I would say. Like you get a pretty good mix. Like everybody obviously is dying to go to the gym.
Right.
And wants to go to the gym.
Right.
Right. Some people saying like, I need to go to the gym. Like, well, of course you can understand that. Like, I'm sure we all feel the same way, like home gym or not, you know, like who doesn't miss that feeling and wouldn't like, you know, I'd be thrilled to do that, you know? But it was quite a range, you know, like people who range from, I'd love to do it, but I'm not going to do it yet, to, I don't care what the threat is. Like I need it. You know, for my soul, I need to get to the gym and do a workout. Like mentally, it's as important to my health right now as the health risk.
Right.
It's a health essential for me to get to it.
Do you know what the problem I run into is? I want Dirt's input on this too. But the problem that I run into with the whole thing is that like, I admit that I'm blessed that I can work out at home and that just suits who I am. So like, it's an amazing thing. But in the scenario that I can't do that I don't have a home gym set up, and I know I would be dying to get to a gym in this situation, right? You know, all the half-hour power workouts that I would have conceived and every crazy thing I would have fucking done for the past 2 months. I would be absolutely dying to get to the gym. And some of that live fast, die huge stuff would click in my mind. and I'd be all in that way, and I would take the proper precautions to the best of my ability. But my problem is that I have 4 people I live with in this house. So that need for my own therapeutic training and whatnot, and all of the and my every other goal that's related to it, whether it be my emotional health and wanting to train, or whatever, wanting to get bigger and stronger and not having access to the equipment I want and stuff, it would all be balanced and predicated and sort of negated by the fact that I'm putting the health of the girls and Tara potentially at risk to go train. And then that would feel a little bit selfish to me, and I would have a really tough time rectifying it, rationalizing it, justifying it. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know what I would do in that situation. I would be really torn, and I probably wouldn't do it, because to me, like, it's all about calculated risks at this point, right? So I will leave the house to go to the store, and I'll take all the precautions I have to, because coming home with food is important in terms of everybody's well-being and whatnot. I'll take every precaution I possibly can and try to bring food home when I go to the supermarket. But like, I don't know, the barbershops are open, so I need a haircut. And like, that to me is not, that doesn't benefit anyone else here. So it's not a calculated risk. And like, you know what I mean? It's more of a personal want. It's a personal desire. But it's not something I'm doing to the benefit of the other people I live with, the benefit of my family. It's a personal thing. Right. And that's where I struggle. I struggle with that part of it.
It's wild, man. I mean, like, the hair salon, the first day that they're open,
of course,
are going to be. Now, look, they might have people waiting in their car to get a text message and come in one at a time or whatever. But like, usually there's still 4 or 5 employees in a hair salon. And that means,
of course,
if there's 5 customers and 5 employees, that's 10 people in there at once. It's going to be tough, man. People are going to, like, you're going to see a wide range. You're going to see somebody who's like, I don't give a shit, man. This is a hoax. And they're going to go out there and they're going to be at the, beach bar and doing great. Then you're going to have people who are like, I'm not going outside for the next year. And everything in between. And it's really tough for me. It's really tough to guesstimate what's going to happen and how it's going to look and what where the risks are, because every state is so different. Every culture within the states are so different. Like North Jersey versus South Jersey, it's a totally different lifestyle in so many ways. Like from mass transit to where people work, going into the city or not, you know what I mean? Like, you could be in South Jersey, I feel like you could see the same circle of people more. You know what I mean? Like, whereas it's more blended together because of New York City up here. You know what I mean? Like, somebody could go be in a room with 100 strangers for 6 hours. It just happens,
Sorry, what do you think?
About what?
About the gyms opening back up, and like, at what point would you be comfortable going to the gym?
It's tough, man. I feel like the only way they can do it properly is you got to have a certain capacity of people in there. But I mean, I feel for the people like, SCO, who don't have the necessities that they need at at their place. Because when you go to the gym, think about it this way. Like my brother Casey's been texting me, and he's like, dude, I want to train with you because I'm going for a PR, and you need a spotter, you need someone to help you out. Of course. And just that whole aspect of seeing the people that you're familiar with at the gym, kind of mingling, talking, training hard, having your training partner.
Sure.
It's something that a lot of people miss. Like, a lot of people I see at gyms, because even though I have the home basement gym, I still go to, I was going to Retro, now I go to this 24-hour, and you see those people and you kind of miss them. But I think as far as them reopening in a safe way, the only way they can do it is if they have a certain amount of people in there. And then even with that,
I was thinking like it would have to be like, and this like sounds crazy, but just bear with me. 2:00, you got a 2:00 appointment, and there's 5 people that can be in the gym at 2:00, and you have 45 minutes, and it's on a fucking buzzer. Exactly. The buzzer buzzes at 2:45, and then the cleaning crew begins as you leave from 2:45 to 3, and then there's a 3:00 appointment, and there's 5 new people at 3:00, and they're paying and everybody who's coming in is paying $20 a shot or whatever, and that's how the gym functions. Like, I feel like it's something like that
instead of the monthly membership kind of deal. But so now you're talking like $100 to work out 5 times.
I know.
You know, like,
I know. Well, then you're not gonna be able to work out 5 times a week.
Right.
But then it finally allows Sko to wear his high altitude training mask and his weighted vest that he can go into the gym.
It's true.
You know me so well.
It's true. But
Gee,
you know,
before this cast is over, you got to kill that fly that's in that room because I keep seeing it buzzing around.
Yeah, I know. I saw him too. I can't kill him though. I have to catch him and let him outside. I can't kill him.
You got to be pro-life right now. Like,
I try not to kill anything.
Like,
catch him with the chops.
Keep the world healthy.
Yes, but you see what I'm saying? Like, I totally understand what Casey's saying. I'm that meathead too. But like, to me, it's like, all right, like, but I try to come to every one of these fucking conversations with empathy, because I sit here and think, like, we're blessed that the nature of our business, we're able to do online, most of it. Like a lot of the out in the world interactions, that's part of who we are. We haven't been able to do, and that's been a hit.
Yeah.
But in terms of being able to function and drive the brand remotely and do so online, like, that's a lucky advantage that we have that a lot of other people don't have. And if I wasn't in that position right now, like, I'd be trying to figure out what the fuck I'm gonna do to make sure my family eats. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? So like, I would, my heart is with with every person in that situation right now, because it's not like, and in those situations, then it starts to be about calculated risks as they relate risk reward fucking assessments, where you're thinking, okay, well, I don't have grocery money. So how am I going to go out into the world and safely earn grocery money so that my family eats? But when I go out into the world to safely earn grocery money, I come back, I put them at risk. Like, that's the place some people have to, that's the mode people are thinking in. So when I think about that, dude, like, I'm giving pause. Like, I see some people online who talk in these reckless ways about the thing being a hoax and all this fucking nonsense.
Yeah.
But then when I see people who I know are just coming from a place of practicality, like, how do the lights stay on and my family eats till next week?
We need to open things up because I'm starving. Is a fucking compelling argument.
Yes, it is. Like, it's a compelling argument.
And like, we need to, like, I posted something, like, I think it was last week, where I said, like, it's a false choice that a lot of people are being presented with, which is like, we either need to open everything up or close everything down. Right. It's like, no, we got to think through these things and try to find a way, right, to like make things function. You can't just say we need to keep everything closed down and ignore and force people to starve to death.
Right.
And you also can't say we got to open things up and force people to risk their health or get fired and starve to death. Like, there needs to be an understanding of all the different situations that a lot of different people find themselves in a lot of different situations right now. You know, like, there's like a lack of understanding or empathy. You were writing about empathy recently, like, across the board.
Yeah.
The whole national discussion and local and everything, it's completely devoid of empathy. You know, if you want one thing to be open, you need to think about everyone who's involved in opening that and the risk that they're taking, how to make it safer for them.
Yeah.
I'm going to cough, so someone's going to have to talk there, but
Shit.
I mean, that's the thing, right? And like, so my whole thing would be like, as long as I can, my situation will be that I will go out when I need to benefit the people that are in the home with me. Yep. And I will do what our business needs us to do. And beyond that, and I will do that as safely and smartly as I possibly can. And beyond that, like, in terms of fucking, not that I was, out doing a bunch of recreational shit to begin with, but in terms of like stuff that just for the fuck of it or just for pleasure, like, to me, to some extent, like, that stuff is on hold. That stuff is on hold. Like, concerts and ball games and stuff like that it's on hold. You know, like, and you can't responsibly do that stuff if your world is bigger than just you.
Yeah. You know what really hurt is us going to the Arnold and not being able to set up or see everybody, and just that whole environment and crazy atmosphere. As much as it takes a fucking toll on you, I miss that.
Man,
a lot,
me too, man. That weekend. That's like the Super Bowl for us.
I know.
That's like it is. Right. You know, we were fucking. We ramp up for that thing, ramp up for it for months, and plan for it for months, and then like, you know, in terms of like seeing things come together and executing things, and seeing people that we haven't seen in a year, and making new friends, and making, you know, meeting people for the first time in person, all the fucking amazing stuff that helps us and our brand be what it is. We didn't get to do any of that with the Arnold. I mean, we did our best. We drove out there and we tried to make something out of it. You know, we had a good event at Power Shack and all that. Like, we did our best, but in terms of like, we did our best to extract something out of it. But in terms of like when our brand's at its best, you know, we didn't get to do that. I missed that. And that's why I was sitting here thinking, like, I'm like, okay, well, if there's an Olympia, is there an Olympia Expo? And then like, but I'm like, all right, but even if there is, how can we do it? Can we do it safely? And again, I come back and I'm thinking exactly like I'm saying about going out, leaving the house, right? So like, man, it would be great for the fucking brand if there was an expo, but if I can't be sure that expo is going to be safe enough for me to be able to safely come home to the girls, then how the fuck do I justify it?
And not for nothing, even the expo aside, I don't know if you guys have seen pictures of like what a flight looks like right now, but the planes are packed.
You got to fly.
That's
every
thing,
plane,
right?
every seat on the plane right now. Like they're showing, like people are flying to Georgia because Georgia's open, and the planes are 6 people across each lane, packed with their masks, sitting there like this. And I'm thinking, like, well, how, like, man, like, I don't know.
Yeah, see, I haven't seen that, and that's another thing. Like, I've wondered, like, what does a flight look like right now, and is it even possible to fly safely? Right. So that's the other layer to it. So that's the other layer to it, right? So like, you know, as much as we'd love to do a trade show, have a booth, step up, and like, you know, and it's going. You guys know me, right? I sit here and I think, well, fuck, if there was an expo, and the whole industry is on pause.
We'll drive to Vegas. Yeah.
And we fucking, I start thinking, I'm like, we'll fucking, grab that shit by the balls. Like, that's what I'm thinking. But how do you do that and mitigate the risk of it all? And that's the problem. And I don't know if it's possible. And that's where
and there's also like, all right, let's say we were like, fuck it. We didn't care about safety on our end. Like, we're like, whatever, man, we got to make this money. We got to do our shit. Like, fuck it. We're one of those people who just doesn't care about that shit. Okay. Because there's people that doesn't even like register in their mind. They're just going through the day.
Going out sleeping in a twin bed together. Keep going.
Well, that's supposed to be between us. I don't know.
It's a given.
It's a trade show, right? Doesn't everyone sleep in
Put your bags on that cot over there. Come in.
When you're
anything for the brand.
When you're foot to head, your genitals are still lined up. That's the only
Live
problem.
By the code, dude.
That's it, man. Live by the code, dude.
But like, even if we didn't give a shit, right? Because there's people like it doesn't even cross their mind. They're just on autopilot. They're out at the store, no mask or whatever. They're grabbing doorknobs, licking their fingers, and going to the bar. There are people, the Fingerlickers. They're out there.
Yeah.
Even if they go and we were like that, we went. Like, can we even justify, like, if there's 75, if only 25% of the crowd is there? Like, can we even cover?
Oh, I know, of course.
That's the thing. It's like there's so many things that need to line up for events, not just for the Arnold or the Olympia or for a baseball game. You know what I mean? Like, there's just so much. We almost have to, like, rethink society on a case-by-case, industry-by-industry, business-by-business basis and try to find a way. And there's going to be some that find a way. Like, dude, I'll give you an example. There's this little, like, Italian eatery kind of deli place near me, right? And it has, like, a little, like, restaurant next to it, okay? Little tiny place, but it has, like, a deli side and a restaurant side. I went in the restaurant side once, like, 2-3 years ago. Like, no one came out from the kitchen. There was no waiter there, like, nothing there, right? Like, no one was there. And I'm like, this place, I don't even think they've had someone come in here to eat, like, ever. Right? Like, so I walked out, right? Like, I'm not sitting here for 15 minutes. I don't even think they ever made a lot of money, okay? But because of what's going on, they put these little cardboard signs or duct tape the telephone poles up and down the block on a busy street, and they say half a tray of pasta, $10. Okay, so they everywhere, like 2 blocks from me, everywhere you look, it says a little thing, half a tray of pasta, $10, right? Bless you.
Thank you.
Dude, they had a line yesterday every 6 feet for like 3 blocks.
Wow.
I never saw 2 people go in there before.
Right.
And now, and just because now people are at home, they're sick of cooking, it's Mother's Day, half a tray of pasta, $10, boom, no problem, right? Now, I bet they're making more money now than they made before. Now, there's another place that probably, was near a warehouse, and they counted on all the guys coming there to get their lunch every day, lunch break, and those guys aren't there anymore, right? So that place is going under. There's going to be like weird people who win and weird people who close, and it's like impossible to predict,
Well, and that's why it's like, my gut impulse is to be bold, but then my more intuitive intellectual side is like, you got to play this thing smart.
Right.
So it's like, and like there, like I said, I think there's opportunity now in boldness, but there's also such risk in boldness right now. And it's like, that's the thing, like where we could make all the efforts in the world to somehow land in Vegas, and like all of that stuff would be noble and on brand. But if it's putting people's lives at risk or whatever, it's like, then it's
right.
Not worth it. I don't know.
I mean, look, they could do the competition online, like they could continue the tradition. They could crown a winner.
Right.
They could do it online, or like you said, with 10 people,
right,
20 people
Don't people
in a huge amphitheater. What do you say?
Don't people usually watch like the Olympia stream online and stuff like that?
Like, it's an example, right? Like, if you put that online and broadcast it, and you had a guy in a stage, go to their local high school, put the light on them,
right,
and have a guy with a camera broadcasting it and cut from each feed,
right,
and charge 20 pops a head to watch it online. And now you're not paying for the rental space of the event, and all, like, that's just an example of something, man, maybe you totally rethink how you're doing something, and the bottom line ends up better for you at the end of the day. Like the O could try something like that.
Well, isn't that what the Thor did with the deadlift last weekend or whatever, right?
Right.
That was on ESPN.
Yeah.
And and even the announcers were remote.
Right.
And that's the thing, like, I saw there was some fallout there between Thor and Eddie Hall, and Eddie Hall was saying that it was suspect or whatever. And my immediate impulse, and now I guess they're fighting. Did you hear that?
Oh, I didn't realize that.
I saw that. I think they scheduled at like a boxing match.
The heaviest boxing match in history. and my thing was like, well, why not take exactly what Thor did, and Eddie Hall does the same thing and deadlifts at the same time, and they both agree to whatever the fucking, like this guy says, well, it's got to have this. And it's like, all right, well, if it's got to have that, then it's got to have this. So they both agree with the layout. They both sign off on whatever the parameters and the rules are. And then you do that. And it's a fucking deadlift competition, between the two of them, head to head, happening simultaneously, but in 2 locations. Like, to me, Thor deadlifting the world record, like, that was cool. And it was on ESPN because there's nothing else to put on ESPN right now. So, of course, they're like, oh, fuck. And you think about, all right, well, that's good for lifting culture that something like that's on TV right now. Well, the immediate impulse was like, all right, well, why not take that and now beef it up? And now you got a head-to-head competition. 2 fucking guys don't like each other, all that. Like, it's amazing. But it's going to be a boxing match, like, next year. It's fucking stupid. Like, it's a wasted opportunity, in my opinion. You're not wrong that
money.
Right. But I mean, I think there'd be money in this thing. I don't know.
You see what they're doing there was on ESPN.
I'd much rather. I'm sorry, go ahead, Derek.
I said I got to show you guys. You saw on ESPN how they're doing like Korean baseball.
Yeah.
Did you see the crowd?
No.
Oh yeah, I can't.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
gonna do a screen share with you guys just so you
Okay.
can see it, but SCO needs to enable it. But they have like cardboard cutouts of people.
No way.
Yeah. The whole stadium is filled with cardboard cutouts of like the upper half of a human torso, like seated at a desk almost.
Why?
Because on the television broadcast, it looks like there's people in the stadium, and it's like just a weird psychological effect of watching the game. It's like less,
I'll get
it feels less, you know.
Have you guys
boring.
seen anybody on any like of the talk shows, like the late night talk shows, or any stand-ups, or anybody who's working right now without a crowd? Have you guys seen anybody like that?
Look at this.
There you go. Yeah.
Cutouts.
Wow. That is fucking crazy. That's nuts.
It could totally happen here, man. It wouldn't surprise me. No, Greg, to answer your question, I know they're doing it every night, like Fallon and even SNL from home or whatever they've been doing, but I haven't watched it.
Well, the interesting thing, and I swear we talked about this, if maybe just in person before,
right?
If not on the Squadkast, but I've seen Conan, and I've seen Bill Maher, and I've seen these guys do it, and without the audience, it sounds like they're bombing when they're telling their jokes and there's no response.
You're so used to it, right?
The weird psychological thing where like you could say the funniest fucking thing in the world, but in the setting of like a late night talk show where somebody's talking, there's usually an audience, and the host always opens up with like their stand up. When they're doing their stand up and there's no response to it, it sounds like they're bombing, and it's a crazy thing, and it's entirely psychological. So the fake audience for the baseball game is kind of the same thing, I guess.
You know what's funny is I was watching, they had a UFC pay-per-view on.
Right. That's like, the first sporting event. Yeah.
The one guy, when he was coming out, there was obviously no fans, but he was still like doing this and going like that, as pretend, throwing his hat in the crowd. And then even during the post-fight interviews, there's gentlemen, congratulations to, so-and-so.
Well, that's like AEW has been doing that for like a month now.
Right.
AEW's been having their matches in an empty place. And the guys are wrestling, but there's nobody in the crowd. And the only people who are surrounding the ring are other wrestlers, but they're all socially distanced.
Yeah.
And then like they come to the announcers and it's Tony Schiavone and Jericho, and they're like 6 feet away from each other.
Right.
And like, but they're doing it like, and there's no fake crowd or anything. And it's like, but the thing, I think we did, me and Sko talked about this, I think at one point, is just the idea, but nonetheless, it's like intimate fighting. Like UFC is fighting. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and like wrestling, you're lifting a dude up over your head, you're fucking, laying on top of him. Like it's such tight contact. And that's the thing, like, Sko, when you're saying about temperature checks at the door, like, I can't even imagine what the fuck that looks like. Like, let's be honest. Who's administering these temperature checks?
Oh, no, it's going to have to happen.
I know.
There's entire countries
understand.
Doing it already, so we're going to do it, man.
I know. No, I know it's a thing, but I just can't imagine it, like, in practice. Like,
like, hey, you're out, dude.
How are they administering it? Like, what's the device they're using?
So I'll give you an example.
Is it like one of those forehead thermometers, and then do they have to like take it off and then put on a new fucking thing for each person?
It's going to be like a rapid fire, like the same way you're waiting at Aldi for somebody to walk out, and you're sitting there, and they wipe off the cart with disinfectant before you get it, and you go in, and it's maybe 1 or 2 jobs, right? A security guy and a girl who's cleaning it off, right? That's what I saw at the Aldi in the front of it.
Yep.
And outside, there were people every 6 feet in a line waiting to go in.
Right.
That's how it's going to be for a lot of events, for office buildings, for, like you name it. If you're going into, like my wife's job is going into Manhattan office buildings. That's her job.
Yeah, of course.
Going into like 20 office buildings in a week in Manhattan. We're sitting here, we're like, I want things to open up, but I don't want that to open up. Like, we're apprehensive about what to do when that happens,
Well, I mean, I sit here and I think of Dirt Malone, right? And like, for example, why should Dirt Malone, other than my need to hug him, Why should Dirt Malone ever have to go to a physical office? Just for example. You know, like, I mean, really the three of us, in all honesty, considering what our skill sets are and whatnot, and like what we actually do, like we can do what we actually do really, really well without ever having to go through without having to go through all of the stuff that it takes to get somewhere to do a traditional work day. Right. And I think to myself, like, there's got to be so much of the world who's starting to look at what their jobs require and why they actually need to be somewhere in person. There's people who absolutely have to be there in person, but like a lot of people don't. And I heard somebody discussing about then how that relates to commercial real estate.
Right.
When you work for fucking State Farm, and they realize that at State Farm, they don't need to have an office full of people all the time, all there together. Yeah. That this guy who does assessments and this guy who makes quotes and this guy who takes fucking the reports of an accident and all that stuff, and they're processing these things, they can do that stuff without having to drive to a place and all the resources involved in driving to and from a place and then going to that place and spending that time there all congested and jammed into a place with a bunch of other fucking people. Like, you don't really have to do that.
This is definitely an eye-opener. Just us being on this Zoom meeting, like, from here on out, I don't know what's going to go on with, like, the real estate building with all these, like, suites and these commercial properties. Right. For the most part, this is an eye-opener where, you know, these corporations are going to be like, shit, we could just do this all the time. But at the same time, it is weird to just wake up in your house, go to the computer. I guess some people clock in and just say, hey, and then I guess you can do whatever you want and then go back. So
another thing too is like almost every study to try to like gauge whether somebody is being productive working from home versus in the office. People get more stuff done from home. Every single study, it's like 33% more work at home because they do it on their own time. They're not worried about somebody like standing over their shoulder. They're not looking at the clock, waiting to get in the car and get the hell out of there. Like, they're just at home. They don't working when like they're feel like they're focused.
They don't have the khakis on that are tight in like the crotch. Yeah. And then like the seam between the thigh and the crotch, and you're fucking, and it's like you're sitting there in the fucking khakis. Like, I would sit there at the desk in the fucking khakis and I would just be angry. It's not, you know what I mean? The khakis make you angry. I mean, like, you're happy to have khakis, and that the khakis are related to an income, but then at the same time you feel the tightness in the ball sack.
I'm proud to not own a pair of khaki pants.
Yeah, right. You got a pair, dude.
You know?
I don't have a pair of khaki.
And then you got the polo, and if you got to wear the polo with the khakis, and it's just like you're sitting there and you're just like
tucked in.
Yes, you feel like your soul is tucked in.
Dude, you know what's hilarious? My one buddy, he works at this, like that typical corporation, and he's doing like these Zoom meetings with people. Yeah. And he's like, it's fucking hilarious because you log in and you can kind of see like everyone's, setting of their house. Sure. And you're talking to these people, and he's like, dude, this one guy, Josh, he's bald and has no hair. And then he's on these Zoom meetings, like full head of hair, big beard. It's like, it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, that's funny. It's funny.
Guys, what do you think?
So a couple things.
What do you think about this?
Woo!
All right. Well, that is absolute fucking fire, Dirt Malone. That brings me incredible, immense joy.
What is that, Greg?
That is the GCode 1990 snapback.
Nice.
It's inspired by the starter hats of the 90s. And in a bygone era for Go Hard, we did a whole series of hats of that style with a similar design. And just one of the most iconic hat styles in our lifetime, and we had the opportunity to do it for GCode. So
you know what makes it great too, and different from the other hats is like the 3D puff embroidery. Sure. People don't realize like the GCode in this 3D puff as well as the crown on the back.
Yep.
Makes it that much
money.
It is fucking fire. I don't literally. All right. So here's a quarantine gripe. A first world problem quarantine, right?
Yep.
I still don't have one of those hats.
I know.
I cannot wait.
Some members of GCode Nation have the hat, and we don't.
That's true. I cannot wait to have one of those in my possession.
I don't have the hat that you have on.
Well,
how about that? We should do a little swap season.
Will anyone ever have this hat? I wonder. Or is this just? Week. Or is this just a mock-up? It's a one-of-one mock-up exclusive. Who knows?
Who knows?
Well, Sconese. All right. So that's immediately it's at least one of two now. We know. It's at least one of two.
There you go.
But yeah,
maybe it'll turn in.
Speaking of 1990, Tyson.
Yes.
Iron Mike Tyson.
Have you seen Mike?
He was offered $1 million to fight one of a couple of the most famous Australian soccer players.
Okay.
What?
And he said that would be an insult to boxing. I'm only going to fight a real boxer.
Right.
But that makes it seem like Mike Tyson's going to fight someone.
Well, the interesting thing was I saw that there was a guy who was going to fight him, and I thought that the guy who was going to fight him was like a coach at like a CrossFit place in Jersey City or something. That's what the guy looked like. I thought that the guy who wanted to fight Tyson,
I know exactly what that looks like,
was a CrossFit instructor in Bergen County. Turns out he wasn't, but it was actually some Australian soccer player. But I thought to myself, not to judge anyone on their looks, but I thought the audacity of that guy to think that he's going to fight Mike Tyson.
All right, so the audacity of almost anyone.
Yes. Of course.
To fight Mike Tyson.
Yes.
I'm slightly wrong. It turns out he's a rugby player.
Okay. Well, rugby guys are tough. They're tough fuckers. Don't get me wrong.
Tough as it gets.
Yes, agreed.
Like as Tyson said, everyone has a plan until you get punched in the mouth or the face. What did he say?
And when you get punched, and when you get punched in the face by Mike Tyson, everybody has a plan when you get punched in the face. But everyone has a plan to get punched in the face by Mike Tyson. And then there's no plan because you're unconscious. Right. So the plan goes out the window immediately. Yep. It's erased from the hard drive immediately.
But think about this. Hey, Sco, how many million do I gotta pay you to fight Mike Tyson until you get knocked out?
Until I get knocked out?
Yeah, because obviously, unless you knock
I don't think I would do it, man, just because I had the bad concussion. And honestly, I feel like if I fought Mike Tyson, there's a chance I'd be brain dead afterwards. Right. Like if Mike Tyson hit me 10 times as hard as he could, in lieu of having already had a concussion, like where I was like fucked up for months from it. Right. Man, I don't want to get hit going across the middle in an NFL game, let alone you know.
I mean, you saw the
Tyson.
You saw
your soul. Right.
That's it.
No, dude, my mind is the one thing that is not negotiable.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you saw him rip the body shots in that little clip. It was like 15 seconds. If you told me he's not going to hit me in the head, then it would be a different thing. But did you see the body shots?
Oh yeah, it might kill me.
Yeah, the internal bleeding.
That's
like
different.
Internal bleeding. Oh yeah.
You know, that's a different type of risk to me. Like just one flush shot from him, I might be. For all I know, that's all it would take. And that's different.
No, I know.
If you told me he wasn't going to hit me in the head, all right, I'll fight Mike Tyson for $1 million. Let him knock my kidneys a foot to the side. Whatever.
All right, Price. I like that.
And speaking of which, did you see Tall Shady? Speaking of heavy hitters, did you see Tall Shady break his home punching bag?
Yes.
See that clip?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't. He's like Riddick Bowe. That's what Shady's like. He's got all that like tall kind of athletic leverage, and you would look at him and you think, no big deal. No, the fucking kid hits like a Mack truck. And I saw
Tyson Fury.
Yes, there's a little Tyson Fury going on there. Yes,
because it's. I'm not going to use the word sloppy, but there's or the word noodle, but there's like a whipping effect of
sure. Yeah, of course. I mean? Very much so, yes.
What are those things in the poles that use in a swimming pool to like float with?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Is that a noodle? Yeah. I'm taking shots at Shady, dude.
Yeah, that's fine. He'll see. At least it's not being
We're gonna
recorded.
fight on pay-per-view for $1 million.
Yes.
I did watch that.
All right, so I know we're gonna try to keep this thing tight today. little pop culture stuff. I don't know if I spoke about it with you guys, but I have an obsession. I tend to watch things when I go to bed, and I tend to watch things that take my mind off of heavy stuff. So I can't go to bed watching anything COVID related.
We know you watch stuff.
I know you do.
Yeah.
So of late, I've been watching the Ken Burns baseball documentary.
Dude, that's weird that you said that, man. We last week started watching the Ken Burns National Park documentary.
Oh, amazing. Okay, awesome. How was that? How was that?
Oh, dude, fucking amazing, man. The first 2 episodes of that thing, when it's like Theodore Roosevelt and John Muir is out like discovering Yellowstone, not discovering because obviously it's stolen land.
Right,
like, people live there.
Of course.
But, the Western world discovering, like hearing these reports of this Wonderland and stuff. Right. Like it was when Alice in Wonderland was popular and they're like, there's a real Wonderland, fucking Yellowstone.
Wow.
They didn't even believe that it was real.
Right. Wow.
Until like a famous like photographer drew a sketch and put it like in the Boston Globe and the whole world was like, holy shit. Like it was like discovering new land,
Of course.
So it's pretty awesome and amazing. And like, especially now, like I've been trying to, as much as possible, get to state parks and get fresh air. And like, it's great for me mentally and physically to get out there just to appreciate nature and like the land and what a gift it is that we all have, that we have public lands that like we are the owners and custodians of and can go to, it's awesome to see how that came about and like how close it was to never happening, how lucky we are.
No, of course. Yeah. No, I mean, anything Ken Burns touches is amazing. I got to give Dirt Malone credit because in the sort of the aftermath of the basketball top 25 list, Casey Polson reached out to me with Kendrick, Dirt Malone's dad, providing his list of the best hitters and pitchers of all time. And I got to give him props because they were lists that I had tremendous respect for. When I get the list and the list has Tris Speaker in the top 10, I'm like, Kendrick Polson is locked the fuck in and he knows the shit. And that made me think about the baseball documentary because I watched the baseball documentary when it first came on, which was like 94. So I was 16. Right, watch it with my folks, and it was great. But you know how it is, like, as you get older, you appreciate things more and more. Like, the difference between going to the Baseball Hall of Fame when you're 10 and 40 is, like, like 2 completely different things, right? So, so Kendrick's list got me going. So I think I watched some of it, like, later on, like, in the 2000s with Tara. But it was my first time coming back to it at all. It's on Amazon Prime. And, man, it is some of the most remarkable shit I've ever seen. Just like there's an entire episode on Babe Ruth. There's an entire episode on the bounce back from the Black Sox scandal. Interwoven into it all is the Negro Leagues and how like all some of the greatest players of all time never played in the majors and how there were 450 barnstorming games where Negro League teams played against the major league teams, and the Negro League teams won 320 of the 450 games. And
unbelievable.
And like, so there was that, and there's a whole part on Ty Cobb and how fucking great he was and what a cocksucker he was, and a whole part on Lou Gehrig and how incredible Lou Gehrig was, and then when Lou Gehrig realized he was sick, and how this one blew my mind, right? How Joe DiMaggio is a rookie watching Gehrig in batting practice. And sees Gehrig miss 10 straight pitches in batting practice.
Whoa.
And it was when Gehrig started to realize that he wasn't well.
Oh, wow.
And it's like fucking crazy. And that's more of a downer, but there's a ton of amazing stuff too. And it's just like, it's one of the most remarkable things. And it's 10 fucking parts. And it's just like,
well, that's what I was gonna say. So since you watched it the first time, he went and added on the 10th inning.
I heard that. Yes, I heard that.
So it's like it's about like roids and the wild card and like all the changes that happened to baseball since he made the documentary,
right.
The home run chase and all that stuff.
No, that's the thing. Like I'm so deeply entrenched in like the first part of the 20th century aspect of it. Like, and like I literally will watch it in the 15 minutes before I pass out at night. So it's I'm watching it in 15-minute chunks. So it takes forever to get through, but it's amazing. It's
it's awesome.
So highly recommended.
So
but I got to thank Ken Polson. You got to tell Ken Polson, 1, to watch it if he hasn't, and then 2, watch it again if he hasn't seen it in a long time, and then 3, that he was the reason I started watching it.
What's it called again? And it's on Amazon Prime Video?
Yeah, it's Baseball. It's a documentary by Ken Burns, and it's just called Baseball.
All right, I'll check it out. So
are
you brewing a list for the top 25 hitters or pitchers?
Well, there's all kinds of, like, we're thinking about top 25 lists, what the next one would be for GCode Nation, and I don't want to give away too much, but there's obvious ones. Baseball, there's obvious ones from baseball. There's obvious, a boxing one would be amazing. The list of MCs is an obvious one. There's some, like, crazy ones that we could do. So it's just whatever makes the most sense, I think, based on the timing. The GCode Nation loves that shit.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
They get locked in when we rank stuff.
It's provocative, and then you know how it is. You can't put everyone on the list, so there's going to be back and forth. It's like, this is bullshit. This is great. And you leave off this, and it's all generational, and it all sparks like arguments and back and forths, and it's great. And it also allows people to touch up on history and look back and say, like, oh, this person did this and this.
You hope so. You sure hope that.
If you don't learn something during the course of those debates, then you're not paying attention. But it's like if it goes look up like Christy Matheson stats or something, like when you're talking about great baseball players.
Yep.
It's an opportunity there's always somebody that you're like, oh man, I didn't realize that Jerry West did this or Elgin Baylor did this, It puts things in perspective. But we got a couple minutes left.
Yep.
Which means it's time for
Eating.
Dirtiest thing.
So we'll go
Foodcast.
You got a minute each. The Foodcast. Dirt Malone, you're gonna start us off. What is the dirtiest thing you've eaten?
What is the dirtiest quarantine cuisine you have eaten?
So shit. I mean,
the god of the quarantine cuisine, the architect.
Here's you like that, right?
I do like that.
Pretty good little
They're
series.
pretty fucking good. Yes,
all the athletes coming together and making it happen. And we need a Tara.
I know
that's coming.
I know. She's on it. She's like, all right, I know he's expecting something from me. I'm gonna do it. I promise I'm gonna do it. She's got an idea, so she's gonna do it.
She texted me something, and then I was like, just make sure you have the macros. And she's like, well, it's not going to be a good. I was like, it doesn't matter. You just need this amazing thing.
All right.
But the dirty thing.
Hold on. Let me say though, she might cook up a couple for you because I think she wants to do something that's like healthy but delicious, and then something that's just filthy and abomination. Yes. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Me too.
Okay.
So during this quarantine, Erin's been getting some care packages from people just checking in on her.
Nice.
And the one is
so.
Our friend Sam. She works at a place called Thomas Sweets where they chocolate cover fucking everything.
Nice.
So literally gave her like a bricked box that just has all these chocolates in it, graham crackers, you name it, man.
Love it.
We just went to town on that, and then we're just baking up a storm and just eating ice cream like it's our job at night,
It's awesome.
Oh yeah.
I think I've eaten. Sco?
Well, I actually ate somewhere not at my house yesterday.
Wow.
Whoa.
I went over to my sister's house and ate outside.
Wow.
So like that alone felt like risque.
Yeah.
Eating,
Taboo.
Yeah. Like, I'm just breaking all kinds of laws.
Yeah.
Caution to the wind from 6 feet away.
Yeah, of course.
A rebel.
Yeah.
But I had some meats and cheeses.
Nice.
Some cured meats, but then also
and
some pies and cakes.
Wow.
And I grilled some pineapple.
Nice.
And then covered it with honey and cinnamon and brown sugar, like this liquid hot mix that I cooked, like I made hot and poured over the grilled pineapple until it just like soaked in it.
Right.
That was a good time, man.
Wow. I love pineapple.
He's a big pineapple guy. Grilled peaches are fucking amazing too.
Hell yeah.
See, I don't, you know me. I'm not necessarily going to grill it, but pineapple and peaches I'm a huge fan of.
Oh, dude, you'd love it, dude. I'm gonna grill you some pineapple.
But I told you, Sco, that I think Tara made it for you. Pineapple stuffing is one of my favorite things.
Oh, awesome dish!
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And it's it's like kind of like
that would be a good
white
one,
trash,
man.
but
that would be a banger.
No, I mean I say that in a good. I say that in a good way. Like like it's like Southern comfort food kind of thing. Like,
but it's like elevated Southern comfort food.
Yeah,
it's like
for sure.
it's like it's like a foodie dish or something. That should be in like barbecue joints and everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Pineapple stuffing, man. It's no joke.
Yeah.
She makes that. And it's killer. It's like a casserole.
I've never had that.
And you know, like it makes me think of. I remember Chase Browning. Shouts to young Lord Chase Browning. He told me that his mom would make cake and put soda in the cake. So she would make like a cake, a yellow cake, and put Mountain Dew in it.
Whoa.
And a chocolate cake and put Coca-Cola in it. Ooh. And I've never had it, but apparently he said he would rave about it. He said it's fucking amazing, and it makes the cake more moist, and it's like a whole different thing. I don't know. It's weird, but it sounds amazing.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Jay, dirtiest thing you have inhaled?
I feel like I try to, set the standard for dirty eatings. And like yesterday, we didn't do anything crazy. We like had some cookies. I don't know about you guys, but do you guys like cookie butter?
Hell yeah.
Yes, not cookie butter ice cream, just cookie butter period.
No, just cookie butter, yeah. Like, have you ever had cookie butter on breakfast novelties? Have you ever had cookie butter on a pancake or cookie butter on French toast or cookie butter?
Maybe on French toast.
Cookie butter on a waffle.
Cookie butter on my tongue.
Ooh, yo, let me tell you.
Amazing.
Let me tell you, you just go get, like, you don't even have to make, like, homemade waffles. You keep it $100, and you go get some fucking Eggos, the original Eggo home style.
Oh, dude.
And which are, like, one of the best things in the fucking world.
Hell yeah.
On sale, $2.
These, oh, man, 2 for $4? Come on, son. Right?
That's a whole cart.
So, so you put the cookie butter, spread the cookie butter on the Eggo waffle. It's it's luxurious. It's amazing.
Keep going.
It's amazing.
Keep going. He's close. Let me ask you something. Do you do like ice cream on a waffle?
Sure. Nice. Yeah. We made homemade waffles one time with ice cream, and it was fucking awesome. Like a waffle iron is a pretty amazing thing. Like it's a whole nother level of like breakfast when you're actually cooking up the waffle. You got to love the continental breakfast when we're on the road that has the waffle.
Man, that's what I miss.
The little waffle maker.
Someday, man.
Oh man,
we're gonna get back there.
The kings of the continental breakfast.
That's it, man. We crush that shit.
That's it. Always.
All right, guys. That's our cue.
We've
eaten.
Look at Sko Nice. We have eaten.
Nice seeing your beautiful mugs.
Yes, man. Awesome seeing yours as well, my friend.
Stay safe, GCode Nation. Everybody out there, be well. Let's fucking rebound and fight through this and do what we got to do and take care of yourselves. All right, guys?
All right, bro. You do the same, man. Peace.